Hey folks, MasakoX here. And yes, I know what you're thinking. Isn't it too soon, Masako? We already had a tournament of power, and that was pretty fun for what it was. Definitely not the most exciting idea going, but it definitely managed to stick the landing at least, somewhat. With that epic Freeza Goku collaboration, and us getting plenty of Android 17 action and goodness. Him getting his dues finally. But a video Geekdom did recently regarding the idea of another universe survival arc for the future got us pondering, and our what-if-riddled brains were kicked into high gear. What if there was another tournament of power? Don't worry, we're not going to give you a highly detailed story regarding this because honestly, it's very, very tedious. It's the least favourite part of us making stories. Something of which neither of us really want to do. But we'll definitely give you our thinking and working, our planning, give you an idea, and you can go from there. Strong guys to find, so many strong guys to find. At the time of the release of this video, Superhero is probably heading out of the cinemas, maybe close to streaming. The manga is still on its self-imposed hiatus, and we might not see a word about the return of a Dragon Ball Super anime, be it web-based or TV-based, for a good while yet. But you know what we do have? We've got a lot of strong characters that have been recently introduced into Dragon Ball, them not being outright hostile toward the Dragon Team. In Universe 7 alone, we have Broly, Merus, Granolah, and Gamma 1. And again, these are just the insanely strong characters from our universe. I mean, yeah, we could add Frieza into the mix, but he's not exactly on the friendly end of the spectrum. There is some hostility toward him. Outside of our realm, we got your hits, you got your Jirens, your Toppos, your Kales, Cauliflas, Carbas, Ribrians, and much, much more. And you have to ask yourself, did their gods of destruction tell them to continue training or just give up? After witnessing the sheer power of Universe 7, which is supposedly meant to be a backmarker when it comes to the mortal level rankings. What? Something that should have been dubbed impossible to lose against. It's possible that a lot of those characters are one and done deals, yeah, but a couple of months ago, Geekdom proposed an interesting idea. Maybe this is all building towards another tournament of power, as potentially being the next arc in Dragon Ball Super after Granolah. Well, as for said idea, another tournament of power, Haverock and I have mixed opinions about this, but the fact is that lately the Triple T, that's Toei, Toriyama and Toyotaro for those curious, have been populating Universe 7 with some particularly strong characters, like a lot of them. It wasn't that long ago when Hit was the be-all and end-all in terms of power, and a challenge to Goku. Fast forward a year and then boom, Jiren is now the biggest boss. Then another year, oh, we get Broly, then Granolah, then Merus, then Black Frieza. Can you see what we're getting at, folks? Right now, Universe 7 is getting a lot of big powers coming along at relatively the same time, outdoing each other in the process. Granted, that's what Dragon Ball does do on the regular, but here's the kicker, which makes us feel that we're not done with any of them. What do we mean? None of them, except maybe Merus, have gotten any semblance of closure. None of them are in that narrative position where you can confidently say that you're done with them. Like, okay, they can retire, they can live out their days in simplicity and solitude, never to be bothered again, aka pulling a Thanos. There's still some unfinished business left that could easily be rectified with one last ride. Sorry, I meant one last ride. And of course, while it's customary for Dragon Ball to simply drop certain characters without much reason or care, it's also not unheard of to give other characters triumphant returns. May I remind you all of future Trunks, Android 17, future Yajirobe here. Oh, and who could forget the stoic and still future Android 8, who stood there solidly as the earth burnt, went to Hipple in a handcart. Yeah. But what we're getting at here is that whilst characters being pushed into the background is common in Dragon Ball, it doesn't have to be that way. We were kinda salty at the end of the Granolah arc, honestly, haven't I? That's partly why we made this video. In that ending, Granolah was an afterthought in his own arc. Black Frieza just came along, took out the heaters, dunked on the Saiyans a bit, didn't elaborate and left us pondering for 5 months as to why Black Frieza is a thing. And then Granolah made a vague promise maybe to clean things up and that was that. Really? Surely not. I hope not. Well then, okay, a tournament arc could be just the ticket to give Granolah one more go. But What about oatmeal? Remember, you can't bring in weapons or accessories that aren't part of your body. Well, that could be a twist. Granolah being powered, you have to use his Sharingan all the time. But honestly, if we were to get a new tournament arc, we need to have it take place in a different setting, not the world of Void again. If we just went back to the world of Void for a second time, literally just doing the same thing, but again, same staging, everything, we're just getting a repeat of what we had before. No, that will not do. It would be much more interesting to have it set in a more classical environment, somewhere where you could have crowds thrown into the mix as well, adding cheers, shocks, and maybe jeers to really bolster the audience and provide another facet of excitement and intrigue for the atmosphere. Something more akin to the old Earth Tenkaichi Budokai. I think it could easily be done, especially if Goku had had an audience with Zeno and explained exactly how cool the classic tournaments that he took part in as a boy were. You know, if we had people watching this, Zenny, it could be really exciting and awesome, like it were when I were a kid. Zeno would take his feedback very seriously. It would also be nice if we changed up the format of the second Tournament of Power. Instead of it being a free-for-all for all the universes going after one another to take part in, which was completely baffling to understand, we then had to have videos that actually did the tournament in real time. Yeah, which yet again threw Dragon Ball's perception of time into question. We should just go back to basics and again, hark back to the Tenkaichi Budokai. Just have yourself a big, regular tournament, one-on-one, brackets, rounds. You just have people drawn against one another. Or even maybe if you just wanted to stem the flow a little bit, just have some preliminaries. Then you can get the best fighters from all the universes to the knockout rounds in the main ring. Naturally, you can have a subplot going on too as the fights go on, just to kind of bring everything together. There might be some bigger threat hidden within the tournament grounds that might be trying to scupper the entire thing. Maybe someone who cannot stand Zeno, like a Hearts, that kind of thing, bring in something from Super Dragon Ball Heroes. But honestly, if it were just a friendly competition and it didn't necessarily have to result in universes being erased if they lose, we would read or watch that. Zeno and the GP have deemed the universes already, thanks to the first Tournament of Power, as being fit for purpose, all thanks to 17's selfless wish. I think Zeno could go with a more laid-back form of entertainment this time. He doesn't have to destroy universes. Also, honestly, we're really curious as to how Granolah would fight the likes of Hit, what with his Cerulean Super Eye, and how would Hit be able to deal with Granolah's Super Eye. We would quite like to see Broly and Gamma 1 sparring, considering the latter is meant to be on par with Goku and Vegeta straight out of the box. Or to see the Universe 6 Saiyans again and witness their gains, wondering whether Khalifa had finally managed to get her head around Super Saiyan 3, like she said she would in the previous tournament. Then there's Jiren. It would be cool seeing him a bit more relaxed, willing to participate this time in a less crucial contest that he didn't oppose, and him trying to take down Merus, putting himself up against a former angel. I mean, come on. I'm pretty sure a lot of people out there would be curious to witness Jiren tanking a prospective angel. There are a lot of possibilities with this cast of characters, as well as having some of the lesser characters give another go. We'd be curious to see what Dr. Paparoni from Universe 3 had cooked up, see our boys Bororetta and Catopestra get their limelight back, maybe even see the first one that got eliminated, Lilybo from Universe 10, go further this time, maybe she's the second one out. But it's not the only way how you can team them up, honestly. Let's get our what-if-ery caps on for this part, Monarchs. Now, let's set the scene for just a moment. Imagine a scenario where something happens to our heroes, or they're not around to come and help immediately. So it's up to Broly, Merus, Granolah, and Gamma 1, and Dr. Hedo technically when he's not busy working on cosmetics for Bulma, to save the day. Goku, Vegeta, and even Gohan and Piccolo, them getting buffs recently, were out of commission or away with Beerus. I can already see the dynamic between these characters in my head. They are all quite placid people when not in the midst of peril. Broly is more and more adept with his emotions. Merus would be very good and at ease with himself and his being, with his part being the mentor, basically an allegory of Piccolo. And then of course you've got Granolah and Gamma 1 being the edgy duo who would butt heads on occasion, but could be an effective duo when they finally get their act together, the tension being whether or not they will actually comply and put their differences aside perhaps, be in sync. And this being Dragon Ball, they would naturally need a comedic sidekick, so how about Monaka? Now, hear us out please. I can already sense the eye rolling and I haven't even edited the video. Don't worry, we're not just gonna have Monaka turn up and do nothing, or be like Gotenks and actually detracting from the story. If we had this group, plus Monaka, and instead have him actually benefiting the team in some way, I mean, the story practically writes itself. Take this for just one example of how you could do it. Monarca, uninterested in acquiring power, accidentally dropped a potion on one of his delivery runs that bestowed great power upon him, and he hated it. It made his job impossible to perform, so he would be in danger of being fired. And he went to the person that had previously pestered him about being powerful, Beerus, to find a way of getting out of it. Whis could actually get rid of the curse for him, but he would have to help them out first with this tournament. Then I promised you, Monarca, you will return to being the insipid weakling that you once were. Oh boy, sounds perfect. I don't know why Monarca sounds like Baldy, but hey, there you go. But Beerus finds this indifference oddly fascinating, so he goes along with it. Again, with Superhero having the gumption in allowing Vegeta and Goku to take a back seat when it comes to driving the A-plot, it really shows that you can have productions set within the Dragon World where you don't have to have Saiyans being the driving force. You can have proper time in focusing on different characters. And let's be honest, folks, people would want that. Now, I know that some of you out there would deem Superhero a failure because of the numbers. They didn't stack up as favourably with Broly. But when you step back from the numbers game and look at the mainstream reviews for this movie, in fact, most reviews out there were at least 4 out of 5, surely Broly and Gamma 1 should be enough to pique the interest of audiences, right? Yes, I'm sad that Gamma 2 is gone, but his brother would be enough, but who knows? Maybe Hedo might make a successor, a Gamma 3. Hold that thought. Here, Gamma 3, there you go, I made that. Chew on that, folks. In a way, having these characters feels very much like the original Dragon Ball, as that too introduced a cast of colourful characters. Though they didn't really return from certain cameos, but with strength being such a massive ladder to climb in Dragon Ball, I don't think that they can simply just sit around and not rise up to the challenge every now and again. Especially with Granola's shortened lifespan, and come on! He has a couple of years left, and with Torombo being sealed away and neither of them inclined to use the Dragon Balls of theirs for selfish reasons anymore, including giving Granolah his life back, I don't think any other Dragon bar Super Shenron can give Granolah his life back, and yet he's kind of accepted his fate by now. Because of that acceptance, this guy needs to have a final hurrah. And if they plan on connecting the manga timeline with the superhero timeline, that takes place 3 years after the Granolah saga, which means that in Superhero, Granolah's dead. Or at best, almost dead. Again, we might be giving the Triple T way too much credit here, but it seems that they are building up towards something. They are using Frieza sparingly, albeit bombastically when they do. And it seems like Toriyama himself has some plans for the next villain. It's rather tricky to say whether or not this is going to be the next manga arc or something even more massive that Toriyama has been cooking up and working on for years, but after the Broly movie, we've really been getting teased by Frieza. You get some cameos in Moron and Superhero, and whilst the Granolah arc ended with that huge reveal, it's not like it put our heroes in an immediate state of panic or danger, so who knows? Maybe in order to defeat Frieza, Goku and Vegeta will need all the gang. Or maybe we won't see any of the characters, say from Broly, obviously, ever again. Because imagination. Would be a shame though, wouldn't it? I'll see you in the next video. Catch you later!